Frankie from Flatbush reporting from Frankie from Flatbush headquarters on the tank. Yeah, you could call this good news, you could call it bad news, but the tank is on for 2025. This is as of today, March 13th, 2025, 1843 hours. This is my current opinion. I reserve the right to change my mind as we move forward and as more moves are made. But based on what I have seen so far out of AG and Muji, we're tanking next season, and I'm calling it the detonate for Drew tank to get Drew Aller or one of those other guys, basically punting yet another season. So get ready, folks, for yet another season of misery, losses, last place in the AFC East. But we'll get a good draft pick out of it, and we'll take our quarterback next year. And the idea being that is once we get whoever it is, whether it's Drew Aller or Nussmeier or the kid out of South Carolina, Sellers, I think his name is, and who knows with these quarterbacks because it changes all the time over the course of the season. You think a guy's going to be at the top of the list and he slides, or somebody from the backs goes to the front. But whoever it winds up being, that's who we're taking. That's what's going on. We're not going to try to win this year. Again, with an asterisk of if we make other moves going forward, I'll change my mind. But as of right now, this is what I feel. Now, why am I saying this? Well, let's go to the videotape, as Warner Wolf used to say, and see this article by Zach Rosenblatt, none other than offseason champs reign is over for the Jets, and maybe that's a good thing. Now, he's trying to put a big spin, a good spin on it, a positive spin. And so that makes me think he's pretty much writing this article on behalf of the Jets. Now, you can argue with me about that, but I think in this particular case, Zach Rosenblatt is being the mouthpiece of the Jets. And it says the Jets dynasty is over. What dynasty? We keep losing. Yeah, but there's an ongoing joke that we're the offseason champs, and when it comes to the regular season, we start losing. So that's the joke he is using to make his point here. And he's saying we're not signing big names, and maybe that's a good thing. And he's saying it's riling up the fan base. And if you've been following me on X, you know that I've been riled up. So I would recommend following me on X. I think I'm a good follow. And but we've been getting into a few skirmishes on there, a few discussions about some of these players that we're signing. And but the point that Rosenblatt's making, well, when they did sign big names, that didn't work either. Not this time. Things are clearly changing under the new regime. AG and Muji, maybe that's a good thing because of what happened before. Joe Douglas never went too wild in free agency, but then Woody Johnson got involved, and obviously that didn't work either. That brings us to now, where a free agency approach that has frustrated fan base might describe charitably as underwhelming. Yeah, it's a tank. Rather than get angry, um, consider the Jets' current reality. This is the meat of the story right here. This is not a Super Bowl contender, he says. It's not even a team most would project for the playoffs. Oh, sorry, it's the next one. Good or great teams use free agents to fill out the roster. When bad teams do it, it never works out. Jets are attacking the middle of the market, and so forth and so on. And here's the killer paragraph. Yes, Aaron Glenn, in every media appearance and privately when talking to his own players, has been adamant that the Jets are trying to win now. And that's the assumption because that's what he said that I've been going off of. This is one of the things that's pissing me off about all this, that it isn't a rebuild. But Rosenblatt said it's hard to blame him for saying that, but the Jets' moves in free agency are an indication that this is a rebuild. And then he tries to soften the blow with the next sentence. That doesn't mean they can't or won't be competitive, although, yes, it does. Why do I say that? Because what are these moves after all? Here's the list of free agents that we've got. Justin Fields, okay. You can make sense of that. Brandon Stevens, you cannot make sense of that. Andre Cisco, okay, I could squint my eyes and see. Rashad Weaver's a nobody, nothing, nobody. Chuk Okorafor was not good when he was playing, and he played 12 snaps for the Patriots last year, and then he quit, and then he was mentally checked out. He played 12 snaps in week one and didn't play the entire year, and we signed him. Not good. Josh Myers, okay, a backup lineman, that's fine. Stone Smart, no. And then we also signed recently Byron Cowart, who is one of the worst ranked defensive linemen over the past 3 years. Very bad. Sherwood, okay. Now the re-signings, you can make sense of all of them. Jamin Davis is a special teamer, I guess. So those are all fine. But these are not the kind of moves you make if you think you're not in a full rebuild. These are not serious signings. These are not serious signings. And these players aren't good, and they're just filling out the roster. And we're tanking essentially. Then they goes through some of these moves. And he tries to make the case for Brandon Stevens. I guess you could squint your eyes, make the case he hasn't been a good cornerback at all. But we're gonna fix him, Mama. I can fix him. Yeah, right. Okay, because we got defensive backs coach Dre Bly, who's never coached, not coached very long in the NFL at all. Andre Cisco, and then Weaver's a nobody. Okorafor's a nobody at this point after what he did last year, and before that with the Steelers was at best average, most likely below average if you looked at it. Then Josh Myers, he's a good backup guy. He was a starting center for the Packers. He'll be a backup for us. That's fine. And it says the Jets aren't done. They desperately need help at wide receiver. That's the other thing. We haven't signed anybody at wide receiver. The tight end we signed is named Stone Cole Smart, and they're not in a rush. There's more to come. Winning the offseason in the past has only led to more losing. Maybe the losing in the offseason will finally change things. Somebody said that in the chat the other night, and I said, yeah, it's the Costanza strategy of maybe you've been doing things a certain way all this time and they're getting a certain result, which has been bad. Maybe if you do the opposite, you'll get a good result. That's a funny concept in a sitcom. It doesn't work in real life, and it certainly doesn't work in the NFL when you're signing bums like this. I mean, these people are bums. Stone Smart is a bum. Now, Connor Rogers did challenge me to look at the tape on Stone Cole Smart, the tight end, so I am going to do a film study. He does not have very much stats at all. He caught 16 passes last year, 16, and he comes from the Chargers, where the head coach is Jim Harbaugh, and the general manager is Joe Ortiz. You think they know a good tight end when they see one, and they're just going to let one go because they had to pay him $3 million as a restricted free agent? I mean, give me a break. They're letting the guy go for a reason. It's not because he's super good and they just couldn't find a way to get him the ball. Now, I'm going to look at the tape. Maybe I'll be wrong about Stone Cold Smart. Maybe he's a hidden gem. Yeah. I mean, I find it hard to believe that Jim Harbaugh and Joe Ortiz just let really good tight ends go. Joe Ortiz used to be with the Baltimore Ravens. You remember they have a way of picking good tight ends. Mark Andrews, the kid from Coastal Carolina, whose name escapes me at the moment. They got good tight ends over there. I don't think they're just letting a guy go because they had to pay him $3 million, and he's just super talented, and we found him. No, I don't think so. Similarly, I don't think the Baltimore Ravens coaching was the problem with Brandon Stevens. You're trying to tell me our coaching is going to outcoach the Baltimore Ravens? What? We're going to figure out how to use Brandon Stevens, but the Ravens couldn't. They couldn't figure it out. The Ravens, do they win any football games? I think they do. But the bad, terrible coaching. They had terrible coaching. Our coaching going to be better than the Raven coaching. What are you, out of your mind? No, these are the people you sign if it's a tank. And I think they signed Justin Fields. My current opinion, again, subject to change if we do other things moving forward. But current opinion is they signed Justin Fields to keep the fan base from going completely bonkers. And they gave him, see here, 30 million guaranteed. Spotrac had him at 6.4, and that explains the delta now. We just threw a lot of money, probably 4 times as much as you would get from anybody else, just about, 3 or 4 times to get him to sign here. Now, it's not a terrible contract for us. He's going to get, something like, I forget how it's structured, but he's going to get like 20, maybe I forget how it's structured, but he's going to get a big chunk this year. And then if we have to cut him next year, we can keep him as a backup. We can keep him as a starter. It's a good contract for both sides. So I'm not criticizing that. But at the same time, what I thought was going to happen after you signed Justin Fields, you would get blocking tight ends. You would get a real offensive tackle, not this guy who quit on his team and didn't play all year last year, was out of the league last year. And then you sign. So In other words, okay, if we're going to make a run for it, we're going to have a certain type of offense, and to do that, you need to have certain type of blocking, and we're going to have a certain scheme with certain blocking, and that's not happening. If this guy right here is any good at all, it's going to be pass catching. He's not a blocker. He doesn't have the body type for it. Um, so again, as of right now, I'm saying this year's a tank job. That's what I'm saying. We're going to have a top 5 pick, and it's looking like there's going to be anywhere from 3 to 6, maybe, really good quarterbacks available. You never know. You also never know when these kids go back to school. But it's looking like it's going to be a good quarterback class, and it seems like we're going to tank again. And the other thing that's an interesting thought, too, with these signings, which really does make sense, and this is also by Connor Rogers. I'll give him credit for when he has good ideas. But he said the Jets seems like they're trying to maximize their comp picks for next year. In other words, we had a couple of our guys go for unexpectedly high prices this year. Uh, Kinlaw, even the price that the Patriots paid for Morgan Moses. And when you combine them, and Tyler Conklin's going to sign eventually, when you add all those up, we should be able to get a number, 2 or 3 maybe, comp picks if we keep our comp picks, our free agent signings relatively low. So Fields was the big splurge, I guess, along with Stevens, and then these other guys aren't going to count into the formula, or are just going to count a little bit. Like Smart's not going to count into the formula for sure. So the idea being we're going to maximize our picks next year when we have to potentially move up. Let's say we're 5th or 4th, and we got to get up to 1 to get the guy we want. The only way to guarantee we get Seller or whoever it is. Well, you need a lot of draft picks then you need a lot of ammunition to make the move, right? So, comp picks can then help you there. And I guess the idea being too, I mean, because all that sounds really good until you start talking about, well, what about Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner and Quincy and Quinnen and AVT and Tipman and all these guys that are going to have to endure yet another season of losing. I mean, aren't they going to get pretty upset and start demanding trades and wanting the hell out of here? Well, maybe one thing we could do is sign most of those guys to long-term contracts and just tell them, look, we're going to try next year, but really we're looking at 2026. Just give AG a year to get his thing in. We're sorry, but look, we're going to compensate you very, very handsomely moving forward, with these long-term deals, especially Garrett, AVT, Sauce, Jermaine, I would include John Simpson in that, even though we didn't draft him. I love John Simpson. I think he should be extended. Eventually Joe Tippmann has to get paid. We just played Sherwood. Quincy is a question mark because he's getting up there in age a little bit, but these guys are going to get tired of this losing. Again, as much as the fan base is going to hate it, these guys are going to hate it too. But maybe the way they make that better is with long-term deals. So we'll see what they do. And again, this is my temporary, as of today, as of right now, based on these moves and this article that came out. This is my current opinion. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I know there's a lot of you who probably are happy about this because you want one of those quarterbacks next year and you want to be high up in the draft and you're willing to sacrifice this year. For me, it's going to be a frustrating time. I don't know. I mean, I don't think I'm going to make as much Jets content. Here's a question. Let me know in the comment section down below. Would you be willing to watch some different types of content on this channel? I'll still do Jet content, of course, but what if I also did, some Yankees content or like an Oakland Ballers watch along? The Oakland Ballers are a baseball team. What if we did an Oakland Ballers watch along or video games? Or movie reviews or something. What if I broadened out the content on the channel? Would you watch? We only watch the Jet stuff, Frankie. You can't do anything else. Well, what if I did? Would you watch it? Let me know in the comment section down below. Otherwise, give the video a thumbs up. And as always, if you want to join the inner circle, it's $5 a month. You get exclusive items in the community tab. If you're a member already, check the community tab. That's where you're going to get all of these exclusive items. Check it out. There's links to all sorts of stuff. You don't want to miss out, so check out the community tab. And if you'd like to join, click the join button right below this video, and I will see you next time.